Hey, Mike, thanks for taking my call. I wanted to discuss the wild card game with you, and also, if you have time, a football point as well. What Aaron just said basically is we plan on basically burning out our bullpen. And when I say burning out, obviously it's one game, all hands on deck. But I think that may be a mistake, and I'll explain to you why my thought process is. And that is, if you bring in, let's say Hap gives up a run or two in the second or third inning. Let's say Hap is the starter. I'm going on that assumption. And he gives up 2 runs in the third inning, and you're, let's say, down 2-0. And you're right away panicking, and you're going to Green and all the guys, and you bring in Robertson in the sixth and Betances and all that stuff. And let's say the game you bring top guys in the middle of the game, whereas if Hap
you can't play the game for over. You cannot save your pitches in this game. No, and the other team will not either. Listen, they're both. First of all, Oakland doesn't even have as much starting pitching as the Yankees do. Remember, in that regard, you're going to have a non-starter who didn't start that game, Tanaka, Severino, and I think specifically Severino, who would pitch those bridge innings, okay? That's where you need your starter, because then you've used your bullpen. You need a guy who can go 4 innings. That's where you save for that scenario. You save one of your top starters for just that scenario, whether it's Tanaka, whether it's Hap, whether it's Severino, the one who didn't pitch. One of those who's active, he's active just for that role. You activate 2 of your starters who didn't pitch the game. One is to use very early, and one is to use in the scenario you just mentioned in extra innings. That is where you use those 2 guys. And that's where you save them for, because they're capable of going 3 or 4 innings. That's what you do. Those are your bridge guys. So that's your other 2 starters. You don't need other starters. You don't need a 4th and 5th starter on the roster. So you have a ton of relievers who are completely, you can throw them in right and left. But you also have the ability to go to Tanaka in inning 10 and pitch him for 4 innings. That's where you save your guy for that, Kevin, because you cannot lay back in this game. You can't. If you start the game with Hap, now let's say they're going to start it with a starter, but let's say they start it with Hap. And Hap's going along, and he gets tagged for a 2-run home run in the 3rd inning. Well, now the bullpen's on alert. Next sign of trouble, he's out of the game. Next inning, he pitches into the 4th inning, and he gets 2 guys on. And there's a big right-handed hitter up, and you go to one of your relievers. You go to Green for the strikeout. You get your strikeout. Now Green pitches that inning, the next inning, and now you're on full ball bullpen. That's it. That's what you set up to do. And you save a Tanaka or a Severino or a Hap, whoever didn't pitch, to be your insurance on the back end of a tie game in extra innings. But you do not save your closers. You do not save your setup guys or your closers and say, just in case. You don't pitch it that way. Your starters are your just in case guys. Eric in Long Island. What's up, Eric?
How you doing?
Good.
My question about Sanchez and the bullpen. Quick about as far as Sanchez goes, I get how he's going to start him. My question to you is, as we said, this is a game where the relievers will be in quite early. And the big difference defensively this year, as the numbers have shown, is the big 4 relievers versus with the 2 catchers. How they've done a lot of Sanchez's problems come with the big 4 relievers. Big 4 relievers are significantly better with Romine behind there. Do you see a scenario in the 5th, 6th, or even 4th inning, where if he has to make a pitching change, he makes a catching change to go along with the relievers who do much better with Romine behind there?
Don't think he will do that. And the other thing they use as an excuse here is obviously the bat, but the other thing they use as the excuse is he has a better throwing arm than Romine does.
And look at the relievers' numbers with the 2 catchers. They're markedly different.
I understand that, but you know what? This is one-game scenario, and this guy is, they're committed to this guy, a catcher. And,
sure.
So that's, this is their catcher. This is their guy. They're going to live and die with this guy. He's their catcher. Until he's not, but he is. And he also can wreck the game with his bat, which we all know. He can hit a 3-run homer anytime up. We all know he's capable of that, and obviously he's capable of knocking in 7 runs in a game. There aren't many guys in either lineup that are capable of doing that. He's one of those guys that is clearly capable of having a 7 RBI game. He is, he hasn't had a good year, but he can be that explosive. Gary in Woodbury, what's up, Gary?
Hi, Mike.
What's happening?
I I'm listening to Aaron, I'm thinking that if he had extreme confidence in any one starter or in any one reliever, he would tell you that that's my guy.
No, they wouldn't have your guy yet. They would never announce it a week in advance. They would not.
One of the points that you made that I thought was great, I love all your points, but the one where you're talking about the fans that call you are so ready to throw everyone under the bus at the slightest hiccup. And I'm thinking to myself, as I'm texting my Yankee fans during the final quarter of the year, the sky is falling, and then I think to myself, wait a minute, they're on the verge of winning 100 games, and Stanton, whom I love to hammer on, has 100 RBIs and whatever it may be, and I'm thinking to myself, he's grossly underperformed. That's the way it is being a Yankee fan. Even though the team is successful year after year, you find all the negatives and you criticize the heck out of them.
Well, the Yankees aren't built to win to finish second. We know that, so it's made it a bizarre year where they're going to win 98 or 99 games, or maybe even 100 games, and they're going to finish 8-9 games out of first place, which is very unusual. It's historically unusual. And so if the Yankees win 100 games, you say, my God, they won 100 games. What do you want out of a team? They won 100 games. They did. They didn't play well down the stretch of the season, but they have a chance here to do it right. I'll tell you one thing, though. I don't know about you, but I don't like the idea of the bullpen being unstable. I think the bullpen, which has a chance to be really a lights-out, overwhelming force in the postseason, I think it loses a lot of that if you don't know that you got the guy throwing 100 who can throw strikes at the end of the game. Britton has pitched better, but if you don't have faith in Chapman pitching like he can pitch in the ninth inning, then why are you going to bring him in the seventh inning of that game where he can blow the game in the seventh inning? That's my point, is if he's not good enough to pitch tonight, am I pitching him at all? Because, I don't trust him. He could walk the ballpark here, or he could have, a Chapman wild inning. Well, I don't want him having one of those in the eighth inning either, or the seventh inning. So if he's out of the mix, you're not the same bullpen. Quick break. We'll be right back.